Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for the Plan, Learn, and Navigate for Success Transitioning to College workshop. Just a quick reminder that we are promoting our workshop attendance drawing, in which we will be raffling off $150 gift cards. 3 winners will be announced at the end of the semester, May 11th, 2022. To be entered for the drawing, you must attend at least 3 college and career readiness workshops live. Virtually, you can go ahead and select either virtual or in person, whichever you prefer, throughout our spring 2022 semester. Stay and engage throughout each session you join live and complete each workshop's exit survey the same night they are led. 3 live sessions equals 1 entry, limit of 2 entries per person. For staff introductions, my name is Marisela Morales, Student Readiness Coordinator for College Transitions. Joining me this evening is Michelle Polikoff, Assistant Dean of College Transitions. As well, we have been provided some really wonderful information by Jeremiah Wright, Recruitment Coordinator from Admissions and Recruitment Services. On today's agenda, we will be covering transitions to college presentation, housing what is right for you, tools for student success, student life, and mental wellness, as well as information from Jeremiah Wright, ECC Recruitment Coordinator for Admissions and Recruitment Services. So let's go ahead and begin. Housing, what is right for you? So first things first, some colleges and universities require that students live on campus for their freshman year, while some students actually have to live on campus even longer, even beyond their freshman year. This is actually a rare instance, but it is important to note, so please be sure to check with your college or university's policy. Waivers may be available. Some exceptions might be, for example, if families happen to live close to the campus, or if a student happens to need any special living conditions that the college cannot facilitate. Please be sure to check with your college or university for more details. So let's go ahead and get into the pros and cons of living on campus. It's usually an easier process to make arrangements to live on campus, usually because you don't have to go with the hassle of going house or apartment hunting, provides additional resources such as having the presence of a resident assistant. The resident assistant can do such things as helping a newcomer transition to their new environment, or helping resolve any conflict with their roommates. It can also increase their likelihood of getting involved in college life, increases your likelihood of graduating, closer proximity to your classes or and library, as well as other facilities such as dining hall, gym, clubhouses, etc. Purchase of meal plan is usually available, sometimes even required. Now, this could be beneficial because then the student wouldn't have to worry about going grocery shopping and cooking, but this could also be a little bit more expensive, which is going to be part of the con. Arguably safer, especially during the pandemic, when so students could be regularly monitored, quarantined, tested. There's health clinics and test sites frequently available on campus. But just as there are pros in life, there are usually cons. Some cons include that you might be unable to select your own roommates, just depends on the college. It's usually much more structured than living on your own, and it's usually much more expensive. Now, if you do opt to live on campus, matching roommates does vary from college or university. Some colleges or universities provide students with questionnaires to best match them with their future roommates. If that is the case, please be sure to answer your questionnaire honestly. It is important that you do so because let's say, for example, that you happen to not be so clean. Let's say that you're not the most pristine individual and you mark yourself as being a very tidy individual. And then you're probably going to be matched with somebody that also put that they are very clean. Well, then that's probably going to result in some conflicts. If you happen to say that you are a day person, then you happen to be a night person. If you happen to say that you're a very quiet person, you happen to be a very loud person. or vice versa. Let's say that you happen to be you put that you are a very talkative person, but you're not. You're going to be put with somebody who that conflicts with your lifestyle. And so you might wind up being a little bit uncomfortable. So try to be as open and honest with a questionnaire so that they can match you as best as possible. Other ways that they might place you with a roommate is randomly, or by using such apps as Roommate Click or RoomSync to enable students to engage and connect online. Other options, however, is that you mutually agree to room together. So if you happen to have a friend or an acquaintance that you happen to know will be going to the same college or university, and you happen to be interested in living together, try to approach the college or university with as much notice as possible, so that if they are able to facilitate, accommodate your request, you will have a higher likelihood of getting that met by approaching them sooner rather than later. Because if you do wait closer to the start of the year, it's probably going to have a lower likelihood of having your wishes granted. Now, just as living on campus has pros and cons, living off campus has pros and cons. Living off campus, pros include selecting where you live and who you live with. You might potentially save money living on campus. This largely depends on the area that you live in. Cost of living in certain cities actually could be extraordinarily high. So it just depends on where you want to live, and also how close you want to live to the college campus. Another pro, would be fewer rules. Cons would be that it requires more independence and responsibility. Now, to a student, hearing more independence sounds like a wonderful thing, and it usually is. However, you have to keep in mind that with independence comes responsibility. And so that is definitely going to be an adjustment. You have to keep in mind that with independence means that you are going to have to probably wake up earlier. You're going to have to think about things such as transportation, paying your bills on your own, things like that, things that you would not have to worry about when you're living in a dormitory. You're going to have to, for example, worry about light bills. You are going to have to worry about possibly gas and water and things like that that would automatically just come with a dorm. You might need to have more than one roommate. You might need to purchase additional furniture. It entails committing to a lease beyond the academic year. Academic year is usually 9 months, with the summers off. Whereas a lease is traditionally 6 months to 6 months to 12 months. And so if you do commit to a house or an apartment, you will be committing to a place that you may not be using during the summertime. And some places do not allow you to sublet. It might also mean that you have to commute further. Again, this will mean that you would have to wake up earlier. You would have to think about modes of transportation. Are you going to have to take a bus? Are you going to have to take a train? Are you going to have to invest in a vehicle? So again, you would have to weigh the pros and cons and really think about what is going to be work out for best for you. So regardless of whether you live on campus or on campus, developing a healthy and respectful relationship with your roommate is going to be very important, because after all, you're going to be sharing a mutual space and you just want to get through the year and both be successful. So talk beforehand if at all possible. In the first few weeks, try to do things together. Keep your space clean and organized, respect your roommate's belongings, develop a schedule for cleaning common areas, be thoughtful about guests, communicate. Try not to be passive aggressive. If you, for example, have any issues with, food that you may have purchased that the other person is taking, or if you see that things are not being cleaned as you had agreed upon, try to communicate with your roommate nice and clearly from the very beginning, rather than letting things fester and turn into a bigger issues than it needs to be. Lock windows and doors. Safety is always very important, no matter your age, no matter the setting. Your safety is always important. So please lock your doors and windows, be open to new things, and follow the golden rule: treat others as you wish to be treated. So now that we have established ways to get yourself settled in your living, in your housing setting, let's start thinking about tools for student success. Let's start talking about your academics. Habits for a successful student. Know the difference between high school and college academic expectations and self-advocacy. Establish goals and plans, prioritize your time, split up your work, and create a schedule. Try not to leave everything at the last minute. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. Get organized, be efficient, don't give up. Challenge yourself, ask for feedback. And this is not just from your professors, but from your peers, your parents, and your advisors. Engage with your professors. And this is from the very beginning. Try not to just be a number, try not to just be a name. Try to really develop a rapport with your professor. Stay in tune with your overall wellness. And this is really important because this is going to be a new situation for you. It is only natural that you experience stress. Be forgiving of yourself. You are eventually going to stumble, and that is okay. The important thing is that you pick yourself up and dust yourself off and try it again. Keep good company. Keep company with those who are going to make you feel good about yourself and keep you on the right track. Develop your soft skills. And I absolutely love this because soft skills are important not only in college, but beyond. They are going to help you in soft skills are necessary not only in your workplace, but in your personal life. So always never underestimate the importance of soft skills. Bonus tip: visualize success and don't waste time. Keep your eye on the prize. Some additional tips: conduct research on note-taking skills or attend a workshop. I cannot, and this is another thing that I cannot underestimate, that I cannot underestimate, is the importance of note-taking skills. One thing that will be important is that you will be very independent going into college. Your professor is not going to be telling you exactly what is going to be on your midterms, your final exams. It's going to be up to you to listen to lectures and to take notes and understand what it is that your professor is going to be giving you on projects and on your finals. They are not necessarily going to be giving you study guides as they do in high school. So it is because of that it is really important that you ask questions, that you take good note taking. If you don't know how to take good notes, do research or take a workshop. A lot of times they're free. If you just go on the internet and look up note taking for college, they will often they'll give you some really wonderful options, or they might even be available through your high school or college. Get to know your campus and routes to your classes beforehand or as soon as possible. Learn of your available student services. And please, I cannot emphasize this enough, study your syllabus for every one of your classes immediately and as soon as possible. As soon as you get your syllabus in your hands, be sure to read it, not only with your professor because they will be going over it, but on your own. This is going to be your guide for the remainder of the semester. This is where you're going to know your professor's contact information. They're going to tell you the drop policy, attendance policy, information on anything, if they conduct from any points, if you don't participate, if you arrive late. They're going to tell you important dates for projects, tests, etc. This is where you are gathering all the information. So please, unlike school, and we're going to get into it in just a moment, unlike school and unlike high school, where the teacher kind of, there's a lot of hand holding and it's a lot of guidance. In college, there's a lot of independence, and the way that the guidance that they have is the syllabus. The syllabus is your guide. So take advantage of that. So as I mentioned, there are differences between high school and college. One of the main ones is, again, So let's go ahead and talk about that. Most of the learning happens in class when you're in high school. We're in college. A lot of the learning is going to be happening independently. You're going to have lectures to kind of go to have in-depth conversations and to explore and maybe argue or challenge certain notions, to ask questions, to explore different ideas. But really, the content that you are going to be learning is going to be done independently. That is going to be something that is going to be up to you. In high school, parents are going to serve as your advocate, where in college, you will be serving as your own advocate. And as a matter of fact, it's really important that you understand that once you turn 18, by law, the college is unable to disclose your grades to anybody beyond yourself. That is because there is the FERPA law. FERPA law means that your grades are confidential, and so your grades are confidential, and so you can give them permission to share your information, to release your information to others, but you must release that permission in writing. Otherwise, they cannot release any information about you to anybody. So please understand that it is therefore going to be your responsibility to ask a professor questions about any exams, projects, challenging anything about grades. If, for example, you need any modifications, if you have any disabilities, it is going to fall on you to advocate on your own behalf. Again, doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but it is going to be up to you to go ahead and ask for somebody to give somebody else permission to be there for you and to serve as your advocate, to let the college know, like, you give permission for somebody else to be there on your behalf. The college just cannot allow for somebody to speak on your behalf. They must get that information directly from you. Faculty and family establish study times when you're in high school and college. That is going to be up to you. So again, this comes down to the syllabus. In high school, homework is given on a regular basis, and in college, again, it comes down to the syllabus. The syllabus is going to help you monitor your own progress. In high school, teachers seek out students who need additional support. And in college, that is not the case. It is up to the student to seek out professors during their office hours to get additional support. In high school, readings are discussed and reviewed at length. They are discussed just as we are discussing this bullet by bullet. In college, that is not the case. In college, the professor is of the understanding that you have read a text, and if you have any questions, if you have any discussions, then you will go ahead and do so in class, but you're not going to go bullet by bullet, point by point, and discuss every single line that is in a text. In high school, teachers try to engage all students in the class, and in college, not only do the professors not usually do that, but sometimes it is physically impossible for them to do that. In larger universities, they may have a very large, a very large ratio of student to professor, especially in freshman classes. You might have a ratio of 300 students to one professor. And so it may not necessarily be that the professor doesn't want to engage with students, it just is that they physically cannot. So please understand that it is going to be up to you to engage with the professor. In high school, teachers will often review information that you will see in the test. And in college, once again, importance of note-taking, it is going to be up to you to try to understand what the professor has highlighted and emphasized during lectures and during their assignments, so that you can understand what will be in their exams. If you, I actually really, not only is note-taking really going to be beneficial to you, but study groups are also really beneficial. And again, talking with your professor. Professors are very supportive. They love their profession and are very happy to engage with you, but it is going to fall on you to engage with them. Other things that I want to point out, this is specifically for students with disabilities, is important things such as IEP and 504. Those are things that are in high school and will expire once you go into college. So if you have any documentation that that needs to be shown to the college, you will have to do that on your own through a physician, and it will have to be evaluations that are at your own cost. Usually high schools provide specialists through the school themselves, whereas in college, students must get those evaluations at their own expense. In high school, the documentation usually focuses on many disabilities under categories under IDEA, where in college, they are usually looking for documentation that must provide information on specific functional limitations. For self-advocacy, in high school, it is going to fall on the school staff to identify students that need assistance, where in college it falls on the student. And students can go to, now offices will have different names. It could be Student Access Center, it could be Disability Service Office. This is actually a very common name that a lot of universities have, Disability Service Office. But there's always going to be some sort of disability service department on a college campus. So please look for that sort of department to see what type of service they can provide to you, what kind of support services they could provide. School staff has the primary responsibility of arranging accommodations in high school, whereas in college, it is going to fall on the student to self-advocate. In high school, the teacher will approach you if you need assistance, whereas in college, professors can be helpful, but they are not by law obligated to do so. And again, it is important to remember that once somebody turns 18 by law, this information is going to become confidential. So again, students can get help from parents. A lot of times, I know that the parents, historically, of course, have been advocating on their children's behalf. And so if you do want to continue doing so, parents are more than welcome to do that. But if they want to request any information from the college on regarding their child's education, and the child is already 18 or over, the child, now an adult, would have to give written consent for the college to release any information. Otherwise, the college would legally not be able to do so because of verbal laws. So continuing with college and accommodations, the college's role when it comes to accommodations is, so in high school, they had the IDEA, which is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, guarantees a free and appropriate education to students in high school, whereas Americans with Disabilities Act simply guarantees equal access and ban discriminatory practices, and that is what colleges go by, and other entities. And so because of that, as previously mentioned, professors, for example, may refer students if they feel that there is a need for assistance but are not obligated to, and institutions of higher education do not need to monitor students and are not required to use accommodations for students, although they often will with some exceptions. It's just determined on an individual basis. If you happen to disagree with the institution's decision, there is usually an appeals process available. It just depends on the institution. So then that leaves us with, what is the student's responsibility? The student's responsibility, it means that the student has responsibility of registering with the Disability Services Office. It is recommended that the student does this sooner rather than later. It is important to note, parents, that registering with the DSO does not obligate the student to use the accommodations. So a student might register with the DSO and the college might agree to a certain accommodation. However, if a student does not use that accommodation, The college is not required to monitor whether that student is actually taking advantage of those accommodations. So it is really important to make note of that. Information will remain confidential. Parents may be present for any appointments that they have with the DSO, but if parents choose not to attend, it is recommended. I would just suggest that you please prepare student by reviewing the DSO website and discuss any pertinent information, such as any challenges that the student has experienced in the past, such as perhaps if they have any challenges reading text, note-taking, test-taking, listening to lectures, etc. Help them collect any required documentation from appropriate healthcare providers, and of course, gather that information from your college representative and healthcare provider. Communication is key. Become familiar with the methods of communication that work best for yourself and your professors or your teacher's assistants. There are different methods of communication that will be available, such as asking questions during class and electronic messaging and open office hours or small groups. So if you feel comfortable talking directly with the professor in open office hour during open office hours or in class, please feel free to do so. But if you are a little bit more on the shy side and you feel a little bit more comfortable messaging them electronically, please do so. But by all means, communicate. That is important, and don't leave that until the very end when your grades are being adversely affected. Get to know your campus resources. As mentioned, get to know your professor or their teacher's assistant's office hours. There are writing centers, tutors, libraries, the career counselor, academic advisor, computer labs, information technology centers, services, free access to online journals, and last but never least, student disability services. So once you have established your syllabus, and once you understand the differences between the high school and college expectations, and you know how to communicate with your professor, and you have your syllabus in hand, and you know what dates are coming up, then that is when you start planning for the semester. Plan out do this at the very beginning. Start by scheduling all of your assignments, tests, and activities both in and out of school, and continue to update this on a weekly and daily basis. Try to figure out what study strategies are going to work for you. There are many out there. This one in particular is something that I really liked. It's called the Study Cycle. And this particular one is available on educationcorner.com. And what I really loved about it is the emphasis that they put on note-taking. So in this, you preview the information. So of course, that is the study assignment, the reading assignment that the professor gives you. You attend the class, you review it within 24 hours, you study, and notice that they do intense study sessions. This is something that a lot of studies are giving us. Usually we cram, and we do this by just studying for hours on end, but studies have actually shown that it's best to actually do this in intervals, and doing this for about maybe 45 minutes, giving ourselves a break, studying for 45 minutes, giving ourselves a break. And that is what they're recommending here, is that you study for a little bit and then give yourself a break, and then assess. Now, how can you determine if you know the material well enough? Easy. By asking yourself, do I know the material well enough to teach it to others? And this is the breakdown of the intense study sessions that I just mentioned. So this is a wonderful study strategy. There are many out there though. See what works for you. And again, this is available on Education Corner. Setting is also important. Get to know yourself right now. As before, at this point in high school, you have been told, where to study, at what time to study. You were probably told to turn off the TV, to have no music on, etc. But as you get older, you are going to get to know yourself a little bit more, and maybe establish that maybe studying alone, or in the evening or in the morning, or with everything turned off, isn't what would work best for you. I myself, for example, I know that some people like to study at Starbucks or in the library. I would not be able to do that. I need to study in an isolated area. Others like to study in absolute silence. I need to study with noise. I don't know why. I work best with podcasts. Something about just hearing people talk in the background helps me actually concentrate, but it can't be music. Again, that is something unique, and it took me a very long time to discover. And also, what time of day works best for me? Very late at night. Now, that is something unique to me that I did not discover until just, kind of process of elimination and just kind of figuring it out. And that is something that might happen to you as well. But once you do realize what works best for you, continue doing that. And it may not be what works for others. Others might not understand it, and that is okay. It's not for others to understand. It's for you to understand, and for you to just make it work for yourself, because all we're just trying to do is get through this crazy world and get the best grades that we could possibly get. Other useful study tools to have is, so this is a really wonderful, study checklist is a really wonderful checklist that I have provided in the link. I also really like the VARK questionnaire, which helps you identify your style of learning. And also there are free apps out there that can actually help you limit your access to apps for a limited amount of time. This will help limit the distractions. So, for example, cold turkey will limit the sounds, the access to your apps for just a certain amount of time. And so, again, that would just minimize the distractions that you will have while you are studying, and it is completely free. There are other apps out there that might work better for you and your needs, but just explore and see what works best for you. Let's go ahead and talk about student life. So there are, it's not just all studying out there, right? This is all about going back to overall wellness, because it is important that you get out there and try to let loose every now and then. Just as it is important to remain focused, it's also important to help yourself de-stress. And so, but it is important to de-stress in healthy ways. So let's go ahead and talk about extracurricular activities. Are they worth your time? So studies have actually shown that individuals who are extremely active in extracurricular activities and organizations while in college or universities after graduating have a 1.8 higher chance of being engaged at work. Now, this goes back to soft skills. 1.4 chance, 1.4 times a higher chance of thriving in all areas of well-being, and 1.6 times higher chance of strongly agreeing that their education was worth the cost. So this does show that there are benefits to participating in extracurricular activities, but now it's time to think about what kind of extracurricular activities are best for you. This is going to be something that you will have to determine, because all of us have different interests, different levels of availability, different budgets. So think about it. The first thing is thinking about what level of commitment you want. There is high level of commitment, such as fraternities, sororities, and ROTC and student government, but then there's also lower level of commitment, such as intramural sports, service learning programs, campus festivals, lectures, discussions, or academic and social clubs. Then there's also choosing the right price point. Because after all, if you were, for example, to commit to a sorority or ROTC or student government, there might actually be, or to sports, there might actually be costs that could be hundreds, if not thousands per year. So it is important that you do your research and look at your budget to see what works best for you. So now it's important to talk about mental wellness, because again, this is all about looking at your overall health and what works best for you. Grades are important, but we also care about you and we want to make sure that you are doing well. So 94% of college students surveyed experienced feeling homesickness at some point during the first 10 weeks of school. And this is quite astounding. 1/3 of almost 14,000 college students surveyed in an international survey experienced at least one common anxiety, mood, or substance disorder during the first 10 weeks in college. And this is actually from a study conducted by the World Mental Health. And so this is quite a notable study. So this is something that is really important to pay attention to. And then last but certainly not least, in a similar survey, 1/5 of nearly 1,600 surveyed college students reported to having a 12-month mental disorder, most commonly anxiety or mood disorders, but of them, only 16.4% received any treatment. So what do all of these percentages and surveys show us? Easy. It tells us that there's a lot of stress. It's a very stressful time for individuals going into college. It's a new experience transitioning from high school to college. So it's important for those of you going through this transition to know that you are not alone. If you do get anxious, if you do experience homesickness, know that a lot of people are probably going through that as well, and that you are not alone, and that there is a lot of help out there, and that people care about you. So let's go ahead and talk about the do's of mental wellness. Do be proactive about your overall health by eating well, exercising, and even participating in what is called resilience training. Now, this is really wonderful. And I actually had not heard about resilience training until I was conducting research for this particular workshop. But this is something that is actually available in a lot of colleges. And this is where it talks about recognize, reframe, reflect, and reach out. And so it's recognize, identify your struggles and accept your feeling or situation, but not being judgmental towards yourself, being kind to yourself. Reframe, understand your setbacks and challenges, and then focus on moving forward. Reflect on your mindset and ask yourself if it is helping you move forward and reach your goals. And then reaching out, give yourself permission to ask for help through your support systems and available resources. So please, again, resilience training, I thought was a really wonderful program that I had heard of. I'd never heard of before, but when I was doing this research, I thought it was really wonderful. Overall, the key thing is to forgive yourself if you do stumble. Everybody makes mistakes and things can always get better. Do use healthy opt-outs. Oftentimes we have a misconception of what we think of when we think of college life. We usually think, especially when it comes to popular culture, we think of a lot of people, a lot of young individuals partying and maybe not making the healthiest decisions for themselves. But studies have actually shown on the contrary. So according to Dr. Sherry Benton, former director of University of Florida, and current vice president of the Society of Counseling Psychology of the American Psychological Association, excess drinking is actually not common, and that 1 in 5 students actually don't drink at all, which I thought was actually a remarkable statistic. So try to make wise decisions and use healthy opt-outs, such as exercising and again, keep good company. Help yourself by being around people who will be positive influences. Do know when to ask for help. Avoid asking for help until things have gotten out of control. If you see that you are unable to concentrate or retain information, reach out to for help, whether it's by talking to a family member, talking to a professor, or even reaching out to resources that are available on campus, which we will discuss in a moment. And do meet with a professional if the problem gets more serious and persists for several months. Many colleges and universities have counseling available for their students in one-on-one group or support group settings. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about those services. To find services available at your college or university, look up wellness. A lot of times you will see a little magnifying glass, and that'll allow you to search your college's website. Go to your college's website, go to the little magnifying or search bar and look up wellness. And that will usually take you to something that looks like this. This is the Elgin Community College's wellness services, but then here's another example. This is the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign wellness resource service page. And but there are also mental wellness resources that are available for everyone, not just college students. And so these are really wonderful resources that are available. So if you or anyone you know needs help, please know that there are people that really care about you. We care about you. If there's anything that we can do, please let us know. Reach out to these websites as well, or to your college community health college or university wellness department. There is help out there. And so with that, I want to go ahead and dive into providing some really wonderful information that Jeremiah has really graciously provided to us about ECC. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about ECC. There are 120 plus programs and certificates. There's an 18-to-1 student to faculty ratio, and 78% of faculty have a master's degree or higher. So why choose ECC? Student success is at the core of our mission. We have experienced faculty, personalized attention, real-world experience through internship, affordable and close to home, excellent student support services, and student life opportunity. So let's go ahead and look at some of the degrees, some of the types of degrees that we have. So under associate's degrees, we have university transfer degrees, including associates in arts, associates in engineering, science, associates in fine arts, associate in fine arts music, associates in liberal arts, associates in science, and technical degrees such as nursing, welding, and automotive. We also have certificate and technical education, job-specific skills to immediately enter the workforce, such as basic nursing assistant, computer numerical control, massage therapy, personal training, phlebotomy, surgical technology, and web design. And by the way, a lot of these facilities look absolutely fantastic. I was so incredibly lucky to have joined one of the recruiters, Jeremiah, for a tour recently, and was really impressed with the facilities that they have for nursing and massage therapy. And so if you are interested in ever touring, please reach out to our college, whether it's directly with me or with the contact information that I'm going to provide you in just a moment, to let us know that you would like to tour the facilities. We would be more than happy to show you around. So we do have transfer partnerships. Transfer seamlessly to virtually any four-year institution or begin dual admission with a university. There's career technical. Train for the career you've always wanted at ECC. Choose from dozens of programs. If ECC doesn't offer what you want, you may be able to study at another community college paying in-district tuition. Earn college credit while in high school. So there's dual credit, dual enrollment, articulated credit, and advanced placement tests. So then we have life at ECC. And there's a lot of sports such as women's teams. It's basketball, tennis, soccer, volleyball, and football, and softball. And then men have basketball, tennis, soccer, golf, and baseball. study abroad, earn ECC credit over 30 semester and summer programs. And although we don't have a slide for this, there's also really wonderful clubs available for those of you who love to join social clubs. Please reach out to us again if you would like to learn more about life at ECC. Tuition and financial aid. It's $132 in district resident tuition per credit hour. Both full-time and part-time students may qualify to receive financial aid, including FAFSA grants, federal loans, scholarships, and RISE. No age restrictions apply. In addition, on-campus jobs for students are also available year-round. It is important to note that there is a foundation scholarship that is issued on a first-come, first-served basis. And I believe that is opened at the beginning of the year. So if you do have any questions, please reach out to us as quickly as possible. Once you do decide that you would like to attend ECC, reach out to us so that we can get you in contact with the financial aid department so that you can go ahead and see what scholarships you can apply to so that we can help you apply for those scholarships and help you get as much assistance as you could qualify for. So get started. These are the steps that it takes to enroll in ECC, starting with apply for admissions at elgin.edu, apply for financial aid and scholarships, submit transcripts and test scores, complete new student orientation and meet with an academic advisor, and last but certainly not least, register for classes and make payment arrangements in the student portal. These are the minimum competencies, the ACT scores and SAT scores. It is important to note that there are certain circumstances in which they could actually be waived, such as a certain PSAT scores, as well as other conditions. Please reach out to your academic advisor by contacting a recruiter. You could go ahead and contact me if you are unsure who your recruiter is. I would be more than happy to help you in getting that information, because we want to help you get as much information as possible and to register as quickly and as easily as possible. So, additional helpful tips to connect with ECC. Utilize elgin.edu. Use search features on elgin.edu. Live chat with ECC. Look through the online catalog at elgin.edu/catalog. Sign up for a campus tour or visit our virtual tour at elgin.edu/tour ECC. Thank you so much for following along with this presentation. This is the contact information for the Recruitment Center. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to them. Again, if there's anything that I could do, my name is Maricela Morales. I would be more than happy to help you out as well. And with that, I really do appreciate you joining us this evening. If you have any questions, please let me know. But otherwise, I hope that you join us next time. We have two more workshops for this school year. I hope that you join us. And do not forget that we are still promoting that raffle that we will be having having at the end of the semester in May. But otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.